I'm glad you all made it here today. I'm sure it took a lot of energy to drop everything that you had been doing to come over. Every day, the heart creates enough energy to drive a truck 20 miles. In a lifetime, this is equivalent to driving to the moon and back. Your heart is what drives you, whether it be literally or figuratively. Knowing how the circulatory system works, the structures and their functions involved, and the diseases that can affect it, a healthier lifestyle can hopefully be achieved. To be able to even begin to understand the cardiovascular system, I would like to do a general overview. The circular system passes nutrients, amino acids, hormones, and blood cells to and from the cells of the body to deliver oxygen, help fight diseases, stabilize body temperature and pH, and also to help maintain homeostasis. The essential components of the human cardiovascular system are the heart, the blood, and the blood vessels, which we will be discussing later. It is composed of two loops. The pulmonary circulation is a loop of vessels that goes to the lungs where the blood is oxygenated, and the systematic circulation is a loop that goes to the rest of the body. These functions would not be possible without the different structures and their specific jobs. It would make the most sense to start off with the anatomy and physiology of the heart itself. The heart is essentially muscle, a little bigger than the size of your fist. Like any other muscle in the human body, it expands and contracts. Unlike skeletal muscles, however, the heart works in an all-or-nothing law, that each time the heart contracts, it does so with all of its force. The walls of the heart are made up of 3 layers, while the cavity is divided into 4 parts. The epicardium, or the outermost layer of the heart, the myocardium, or the actual cardiac muscle, is a type of involuntary striated muscle found in the walls and is responsible for the pumping action of the heart. The endocardium, or the innermost layer of tissue, lines the chambers of the heart. The pericardium is what surrounds the heart and is a tough double-layered membrane. The first outermost layer of this is a fibrous pericardium, and the inner is a serous pericardium. The space between these 2 layers is filled with a pericardium fluid, which acts as lubricant. Next, the heart is composed of 4 chambers, which are divided into the left and right and the atria and ventricle. Both Prince Metal, in his article entitled Radiocardiography, a new method for studying the blood flow through the human chambers of the heart, as found in the Science magazine, and Godecki in Springer Science and Business Media article entitled Principles of Metabolism in Health and Diseases, states that the right atrium is situated in the upper right section of the heart. This chamber receives oxygen-depleted blood from the 2 major veins, the inferior and superior vena cava. This chamber then pumps blood through the tricuspid valve into the right ventricle. The right ventricle receives oxygen-depleted blood from the right atrium and pumps it through the pulmonary valve into the lungs via the left and right pulmonary arteries. The left atrium receives this oxygenated blood and sits opposite the right atrium and is in the upper part of the heart. And the blood, after it passes through the left atrium, goes through the bicuspid valve or the mitral valve into the left ventricle. This chamber is in the lower part of the heart and receives oxygen-rich blood from the left atrium above it, and then pumps it through the aortic valve to be distributed to the entire body via the aorta, including the heart muscle itself through the coronary arteries. One of the next major components of the circular system would be the blood, and this blood is composed of 4 different parts. Plasma, which is the pale yellow fluid component of the blood, normally holds the blood cells in suspension. Then we have erythrocytes, which are the red blood cells, or the most common type of blood cell, which are the principal means of delivering oxygen to the body tissue. Then we have leukocytes, or the white blood cells. These cells are what primarily defend the body against both infectious disease and other foreign materials. Thrombocytes, or platelets, are the last component, and these lead to the formation of blood clots. The blood then travels via the network of vessels that are intricately weaved together. There are 5 different categories of these blood vessels. The first is the arteries. These blood vessels transport blood away from the heart. The arteries are a thick, muscular, walled structure compared to veins, as they are designed to accommodate the high flow and pressure exerted by the forced delivery of the heart. Arterioles are smaller in diameter, with thin muscular walls that extend the branch out an artery and lead to the capillaries. These vessels are the primary site of vascular resistance. Capillaries now are the smallest of the blood vessels. These connect the arterioles to the venules, and the walls of the capillaries are only about a cell thick, so they are what cause the interchange of water, oxygen, carbon dioxide, nutrients, and other waste products from the blood and surrounding tissues. Venules are a small blood vessel that drains deoxygenated blood from the capillary beds and returns it to the larger blood vessels called veins. Many venules join to form a vein. And veins, of course, are the vessels that transport blood towards the heart. The majority of veins carry deoxygenated blood, except for the pulmonary vein, which carries oxygen-rich blood from the lungs back to the left atrium. All of these different parts work together in order to make the system happen and help the blood flow through the body. Now, we already discussed the blood flow to the body, and here's a helpful diagram to help you see it. Here we have the right atrium, which is full of oxygen-poor blood, which leads to the left ventricle, through the pulmonary artery, to the lungs, which comes back to the left atrium, to the left ventricle, to the aortic arch, out the aorta, and to the rest of the body. This entire pumping process occurs when the heart's own electrical impulse that it creates. A summary by Risty Dacey, a professor with Khan Academy, a video website series, states in a video the electrical systems of the heart says that the SA node fires, and each electrical impulse travels through the right and left atrium. This electrical activity causes the two upper chambers of the heart to contract. The electrical impulses then moves to an area known as the AV node, or atrioventricular node. This node sits just above the ventricles. Here, the electrical impulses is held for a brief period. This delay allows the right and left atrium to continue emptying its blood contents into the two ventricles. The AV node thus acts as a relay station, delaying stimulation of the ventricles long enough to allow the two atria to finish emptying. Now that we know the way the entire system works, we can now take a look at some of the common diseases that are affected by it. A quick look at WebMD offered a few examples of heart diseases and their symptoms. The first would be a heart attack, or myocardial infarction. This occurs when blood flow to the part of the heart is blocked for a long enough time that part of the heart muscle becomes damaged or dies. Some symptoms that patients have expressed are a tight band feeling around their chest, bad indigestion, feels like something heavy is sitting on their chest, or squeezing and heavy pressure. For treatment of this, please see an emergency medical professional. Next, another common heart disease that people experience is cardiac arrest. Sudden cardiac arrest is different from a heart attack in where the unexpected loss of heart function, breathing, and consciousness. Sudden cardiac arrest usually results from electrical disturbance in your heart that disrupts the pumping, stopping blood flow to the rest of your body. Some of these symptoms include sudden collapse, absent pulse, apnea or loss of breathing, or loss of consciousness. If you see someone experience this, call 911 immediately and initiate CPR if you have the knowledge. Knowing some of the diseases that affect the heart, we can learn ways to take care of it. Staying healthy can help in so many other areas than just the heart. A great place to start would be looking at everyday activities. Marie Cottrell, in an article from LifeScript called Hidden Symptoms of a Heart Attack, states that avoid smoking and secondhand smoke, which are major causes of heart disease. Do some physical activity for at least 30 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be specific aerobic exercise or huffing and puffing at the gym. You just need to move your body, but it doesn't have to be consistent either. Just try taking the stairs instead of the elevator when you go to work. Avoid being obese, which is defined as 20% over the ideal body weight. This will help with exercise. Next, and my personal favorite, is a single serving of alcohol with a meal. It's associated with longevity, as well as lower the risk of heart disease. And finally, eat a heart-healthy diet. Kathleen Zielman states in her article presented in WebMD entitled 5 Heart-Healthy Foods, describes 5 foods will help decrease the chance of heart disease. She starts with blueberries. And according to the U.S. High Bush Blueberry Council, researchers believe that the antioxidants in blueberries work to reduce the buildup of bad LDL cholesterol in artery walls that contribute to cardiovascular disease and stroke. The recommended amount is suggested to be about 1 cup a day. She then moves to salmon. An oily fish contains omega-3s And this fat is helped to believe to reduce the risk of developing cardiovascular disease by lowering the levels of triglycerides in the body. Blood fats linked to heart disease and diabetes. The American Heart Association recommends at least 2 servings of fish at least twice a week, and a serving is between 3 to 6 ounces. Next was soy proteins, rich in omega-3 fatty acids, proteins, vitamins, and minerals. Soy protein is a good alternative for red meat. It also is lower in fat and higher in fiber than many meat choices. Both the FDA and the American Heart Association encourage eating at least 1 ounce of soy protein daily. You can get this from soybeans, soy nuts, soy milk, soy flour, energy bars, fortified cereal, or tofu. Next is oatmeal, another whole grain such as wheat, barley, rye, millet, quinoa, brown rice, and wild rice help to reduce the risk of diabetes, which in itself is a risk factor for heart disease. The daily recommendation is between 21 and 38 grams, depending on your sex and age, according to the American Dietetic Association. Finally, she encourages spinach. The dark green leafy vegetable is high in minerals, vitamins, and antioxidants that protect against cardiovascular disease. The recommended serving of this is about a cup a day. One of the other ways to keep your heart healthy is to continually talk to your family doctor and go through yearly screenings. Most people start this process around the age of 20 with follow-up appointments depending on your risk factors. Regular cardiovascular screenings is important because it helps you detect risk factors in their earliest stages, said Barry A. Franklin, Ph.D., director at William Vermont Hospital in Royal Oaks, Michigan, and an American Heart Association volunteer. This way, you can treat the risk factors with lifestyle changes and pharmacological therapies, if appropriate, before it ultimately leads to the development of cardiovascular disease. In conclusion, the circulatory system helps to keep us alive, and it is important to know the different structures associated with it. With proper knowledge and health considerations, the diseases like heart attack and sudden cardiac arrest may be abolished. We need to learn how to take care of our hearts, and they will take care of us. If people know how their bodies work and realize the sheer awe behind them, they are more likely to take care of it and appreciate life. Thank you.